Welcome to Millennium Time Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Trump's Middle East envoy to meet Netanyahu on Saturday, Israeli official says. Watershed moment for the Middle East after Lebanon elects new president with a Saudi push. Zelensky says 2 North Korean soldiers fighting for Russia were captured in Kursk region. Black boxes from crashed South Korean plane stopped recording about 4 minutes before disaster, official says. Los Angeles wildfire switches direction, posing new threat. Elon Musk react to OpenAI whistleblower's mother non-profit claims. Greenland's leaders say he is ready to talk to Trump. Global markets witness broad decline amid economic crisis. Celtics survived a scare at Ross County by producing a late burst of goals to stretch their leads at Scottish Premiership Summit to 18 points. Gail Monfils becomes oldest ever winner of the ATP Tour title, surpassing Roger Federer. Now let's look at the details. US President-elect Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff will meet Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on Saturday, an Israeli official said. Amid efforts to secure a hostage deal and ceasefire in Gaza, a second Israeli official said some progress had been made in the indirect talks between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas, mediated by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States. To reach a deal in Gaza, the mediators are making new efforts to reach a deal to halt the fighting in the enclave and free the remaining Israeli hostages held there before Trump takes office on January 20. On Saturday, the Palestinian Civil Emergency Services said 8 people were killed, including 2 women and 2 children, in an Israeli airstrike on a former school sheltering displaced families in Jabalia in the northern Gaza Strip. The Israeli military said the strike had targeted Hamas militants who were operating at the school and that it had taken measures to reduce the risk to harm the civilians. Israel launched its assault on Gaza after Hamas fighters stormed across its border in October 2023, killing 1,200 people and taking more than 250 hostages, according to Israeli tallies. Since then, more than 46,000 people have been killed in Gaza, according to Palestinian health official, with much of the enclave led to waste and crippled by the humanitarian crisis, with most people, population and other people displaced. It was a last-minute push by the Saudi Arabia that decided Lebanon's fate on Thursday. There were less than 24 hours before the parliament was set to choose the next president, but Lebanon's checkered political landscape was in total disarray. The sectarian political elite seemed to be stuck at the drawing board. Presidents in Lebanon are brought to power by the near political consensus, but more than 6 contenders were still in play. Debates were heated and Army Chief Joseph Aoun was dismissed by many politicians as constitutionally unqualified for the presidency because of his military post. It looked like Parliament was heading for the 13th failed attempt to elect a president in more than 2 years. Then a Saudi delegation headed by Kingdom envoy Prince Yazid bin Farhan flew into Beirut for the second time in a week. It held a blitz of meeting with various political parties. By the time they left, there was only one candidate left, that was the US-backed ON. 99 lawmakers voted for ON, surpassing the requisite two-thirds of parliament. The remaining 29 ballots were largely either blank or disqualified. One of the lawmakers cast his vote for Bernie Sanders. Within minutes, On arrived in parliament having swapped his army fatigue for a suit and tie. He then took oath and gave an earth-shattering, seemingly well-rehearsed speech vowing to usher in Lebanon's new era and monopolize weapons under the aegis of the state. In other words, Hezbollah, one of the world's best armed militant group for the better part of the last 40 years, was said to be disarmed. Jubilation filled the street. A presidential vacuum had been filled. A year-long stalemate between the confessional elite had broken for the time being at least. But it was a development that raised larger question. Why had Saudi Arabia expanded so much diplomatic capital to deliver a president ending nearly 8 years of disengagement from Lebanon that it dismissed as lost to Iranian domination via Hezbollah? Another factor that unlocked the On presidency is also significant. Hezbollah and his allies in the Amal party voted for him. It was a highly choreographed affair. Hezbollah and Amal, known as Shia duo, cast blank votes in the first round of voting, which failed to produce a president. During a 2-hour recess, the head of their respective parliamentary blocs held a meeting with On, the details of which were unknown. After returning to parliament, they cast their ballot for On, breaking the deadlock and opening the path for the presidency. The message was clear. Hezbollah have seen severely weakened by the war and Israeli in the fall and by the recent toppling of its key ally, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, but it could still prolong a stalemate or end it. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has said forces operating in the Kursk region of Russia have captured 2 North Korean soldiers, marking the first time that Ukraine has captured alive soldiers from the isolated state. Our soldiers have captured North Korean military personnel in the Kursk region. 2 soldiers, though wounded, survived and were transported to Kyiv, where they are now communicating with the security service of Ukraine. Zelensky said Saturday in a statement on X, which includes several images of the injured soldiers. According to Ukrainian and Western assessment, some 11,000 North Korean troops are deployed in the Kursk region, where Ukraine forces occupy several hundred square kilometers after staging a cross-border incursion in August last year. Last week, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said more than 1,000 North Korean forces had been killed or wounded in Kursk in the last week of December. Zelensky said of the 2, South Korean and North Korean, though have been occupied and captured, this was not an easy task. Russian forces and other North Korean military personnel usually execute their wounded to erase any evidence of the North Korea's involvement in the war against Ukraine. They are being held in appropriate conditions that meet the requirement of international law, the SBU said. The video shows the 2 soldiers in bunk bed in a cell. One has a wounded of his jaw, neither is heard speaking. An unidentified doctor say that the second soldier have a fractured leg. The SBU spokesperson said the communication with them is carried out through interpreters of Korean in cooperation with South Korea Intelligence Service. Saturday's capture is the first time the Ukraine has captured North Korea soldiers alive from the battlefield. The SBU released images of a Russian military ID card issued in the name of other people from Tuva in Russia, which is said was being carried by one of the captured soldiers. According to the SBU, the soldier said he had been issued the document in Russia last autumn. He also said some of the North Korean combat unit had just 1 week of training with Russian troops. The other captive had no documents, the SBU said. Soldiers had been in a North Korean military and had thought he was being sent to Russia for training rather than combat, according to the SBU account. It comes as Ukraine on Sunday renewed its offensive on Kursk, where its troops have been holding territory after launching a shock incursion last summer. Flight recorders from the passenger jet that crashed in South Korea last month, killing more than 170 people, stopped working minutes before the plane belly landed and exploded on the runway. Investigators said on Saturday officials probing the country's deadliest aviation accident is almost 3 decades had hoped information from the so-called black boxes would shed light on why Jeju Air Flight 7C-2216 from Bangkok belly landed at Muan International Airport on December 29, erupting into fireballs. The disaster killed 179 passenger and crew members. 2 people survived, but South Korea's Transport Ministry said on Saturday that both the cockpit voice recorder (CVR) and flight data recorder (FDR) from the Boeing 737-800 had stopped working about 4 minutes before the crash. In a statement, the ministry said it was unclear why the devices stopped recording, adding that it will work to determine the cause. CVR and FDR data are important data for accident investigation, but accident investigations are conducted through investigation and analysis of various data. So we plan to do our best to accurately identify the cause of the incident. And also the ministry said that the cockpit voice recorder was first analyzed locally and later sent to the United States for the cross-checking. And the ministry also said the flight data recorder, which was damaged and missing a connector, was sent to the National Transportation Safety Board in the United States last week for analysis after South Korea's analyst and the extracting data unit from the devices were damaged. The crash was the country's deadliest since 1997, when a Korean airline Boeing 747 crashed in the Guam jungle with the loss of 228 lives. It is not yet clear what caused it. The investigation, expected to take months. Footage of the crash showed that neither the back or the front landing gear was visible at the time of the crash landing. Prior to the emergency landing, the pilot made a mayday call and used the term bird strike and go around, according to official, who also said the control tower had warned the pilot of birds in the area. The largest of the raging wildfires that have devastated part of Los Angeles this week was reported to have shifted direction on Saturday, triggering more evacuation order and posing a new challenge to exhausted firefighters. 6 simultaneous blazes that have ripped across Los Angeles County neighborhoods since Tuesday have killed at least 11 people and damaged or destroyed 10,000 structures. The toll is expected to mount when the firefighters are able to conduct house-to-house searches. The fierce Santa Ana wind that fanned the infernos eased on Friday night, but the Palisades fire on the city's western edge was heading in a new direction, prompting another evacuation order as it edged towards the Brentwood neighborhood and the San Fernando Valley foothills, the Los Angeles Times reported. The Palisades fire have got a new significant flare up on the eastern portion and continues to the northeast. LA Fire Department Captain Eric told local station KTLA, according to a report on the LA Times website. The fire, the most destructive in the history of Los Angeles, has razed whole neighborhoods to the ground, leaving just smoldering ruins of what had been people, home and possessions. Before the latest flare up, firefighters had reported progress in subduing the Palisade fire and the Eaton fire in the foothills east of the metropolis after it burned out of control for days. On Friday night, the Palisade fire was 8% contained and the Eaton Fire 3%, state agency CAL FIRE said. The two big fire combined had consumed 35,000 acre or 54 square miles times the land of Manhattan. Some 153,000 people remained under evacuation order and another 166,000 faced evacuation warning with a curfew in place for all evacuation zone. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna said 7 neighboring states, the federal government and Canada have rushed aid to California, bolstering aerial team, dropping water and fire retardant on the flaming hill, and crew on the ground attacking fire lines with hand tools and hoses. The National Weather Service said the condition in the LA area would improve through the weekend with sustained wind slowing about 20 mph, gusting between 35 mph and 50 mph. It's not as gusty as it looks, so that should help firefighters, NWS meteorologist Allison said. CAL FIRE said there was a chance of strong wind again on Tuesday. There will continue to be high likelihood of critical fire weather condition through next week, it said. Officials have declared a public health emergency due to the thick toxic smoke. Elon Musk reacted to the interview of the mother of the 26-year-old Indian origin OpenAI whistleblower who was found dead in his San Francisco apartment last year. Musk, who was initially a backer of OpenAI, was reacting to the whistleblower's mother assertion in an interview that her son wasn't okay with the ChatGPT making turning into a profit for company. The reason he joined OpenAI was his belief that AI will help humanity. He was very impressed with OpenAI initially because they were non-profit, the whistleblower's mother said in an interview to Mario Knopfel on X. The mother said that her son's concerns started to become wider when they went public. That's when his concerns started to arise and he started questioning himself, she said. Musk reacted by sharing the video of the interview with a couple of exclamation marks. The Tesla and SpaceX founder had spoken up against OpenAI turning into a for-profit company when the Sam Altman-led venture became public. Elon Musk earlier backed the mother's call for investigation. This isn't the first time that Elon Musk has backed the mother in the OpenAI whistleblower death case. The 26-year-old techie was found dead in his San Francisco apartment last year after speaking up against OpenAI policies. A medical officer ruled his death as suicide, and San Francisco police said there were no evidence of a foul play that was found during the initial investigation. However, the 26-year-old Indian origin techie mother was called for an FBI investigation in a post on X, causing doubt on the policies and police conclusion that her son's death was a suicide. Musk, who also owns X, reacted to the post and wrote, "This doesn't seem like a suicide." Greenland Prime Minister Muttegede said on Friday he was ready to speak with US President-elect Donald Trump, who is said to have control over the Arctic island, and urged respect for the island's independence aspiration. Trump, who takes office on January 20, has described US control of Greenland, a semi-autonomous Danish territory, as an absolute necessity. He did not dismiss the potential use of military or economic means, including tariff against Denmark, at a Copenhagen press conference. When asked if he had contact with Trump, Egede responded, "No, but we are ready to talk." Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, who also addressed the press conference, said on Thursday she had asked for a meeting with Trump but did not expect it to happen before his inauguration. Greenland, home to 57,000 people, was a Danish colony until 1953 but is now a self-governing Danish territory. In 2009, it secured the right to claim independence through a vote. The US maintained a military base in the northern part of the strategically important territory. Egede emphasized Greenland's aspiration, saying, "We have a desire for independence, a desire to be master of our own house. This is what something everyone should expect and respect, but that doesn't mean we are cutting all ties, all cooperation, and all relations with Denmark, he said. An independence movement has gained momentum in recent years, which Agede discussed in his New Year speech. Now bringing you the latest updates on today's market trends. Today's market movements across the Americas paint a stark picture of investor sentiment as major indices in the United States, Canada, and Latin America largely saw red. The Dow Jones Industrial Average took a sharp tumble, dropping 696.75 points or 1.63%, mirroring similar declines in the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, each shedding over 1.5%. These losses suggest persistent concern over inflationary pressure and the Federal Reserve's potential tightening measures. Canada indices also struggled, with the S&P TSX Composite failing and falling to 1.22%, reflecting pressures in the energy and financial sectors. Meanwhile, Brazil Bovespa Index suffered one of the steepest decline, plummeting 924.08 points, likely tied to falling commodity prices or domestic political uncertainties. In contrast, Chile's S&P IPSA offered a rare bright spot, climbing 0.17% with a modest gain of 11.54%. This may reflect local market optimism or robust performance in sectors specific such as mining. As for Mexico, the S&P BMV IPC saw a drop of 0.42%, adding to the overall downtrend across the continent. The market are navigating a volatile environment driven by macroeconomic uncertainties, geopolitical tensions, and fluctuation in the commodity markets. Investors are advised to remain cautious as the week progresses, with a close watch on policy announcement and economic data releases that could further sway market momentum. The ETF landscape today showcases divergent strategies as investors navigate turbulent market conditions. Notably, the Direxion daily S&P 500 bear 3x shares led the pack among gainers, up 4.53%, signaling a significant shift toward bearish bet on the broader S&P 500. The align with decline as major indices, reflecting increased hedging activity amid fear of economic slowdown and monetary tightening. Conversely, the Direxion daily semiconductor bull 3x shares plummeted 7.02, illustrating waning confidence in the semiconductor sector. This may be tied to broader concern about tech earnings or supply chain disruptions impacting chip maker, a critical sector for global markets. Mainstream ETF like the SPDR S&P 500 ETF Trust were not spared, dropping 1.53% as investors sought refuge in defensive assets. Leveraged tech plays also faced steep decline, with the Pro share Ultra Pro QQQ failing to 4.77%, highlighting the ongoing struggles of the high-growth Nasdaq heavy sectors. Interestingly, the Pro shares Ultra Pro Short QQQ rose 4.88%, signaling the investors are increasingly placing bet against tech stock as macroeconomic headwinds persist. Today, ETF movement saw a market deeply polarized by uncertainty. Bullish strategy faltered while inverse and defensive funds gained traction, underscoring the cautious stance of investor. With the week still underway, the focus will likely remain on macro data and earning reports that could either bolster or further erode confidence in equities. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi. Keep watching Millennium Time Bulletin.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium Time Bulletin. Now let's look at some sports highlights. Jordan White's second half penalty had brought the host level, but Kogo Fureshi added the second in the 81st minute before a retaken Arnie Engels penalty in stoppage time and Luke McCubbin strike added loss to the scoreline. Both sides had their chances in the first half and there were screams for the penalty from Celtic when Rio Hettet went down in the county box under pressure from Ellie Campbell, but play was waved on and the video assistant referee was happy to let the action continue. Kyogo fired Celtic into the lead minute after missing a gilt-edged chance as he poked a loving cross from the right back Alistair Johnston. The Japan forward was flying as the half drew to a close, forcing county goalkeeper Jordan Amisa into an incredible save. Brendan Rodgers' side remained in the ascendancy, but Johnson's foul on debutant County Phillips gifted the host a penalty which was dispatched by White for the equalizer. Farashi fired a bullet header at Amisa, who despite getting a hand to do, couldn't keep the ball out of the net as Celtic regained the lead in the closing stages. Angels penalty awarded following a VAR review of James Brown challenge on Hyun Jun Yang was saved by Amisa before the spot kick was taken because the county keeper had strayed well off the line. Angel stepped up again and fired into the opposite corner. Then McCubbin made it 4-1 when he popped the ball into the bottom corner. The 4-1 scoreline doesn't do justice to the performance Don Covey's side put in for 80 minutes. The late drama in Dingwall cancelled out the good work County did up until Celtic's second goal. Amisa will deservedly get plaudits for his performance. Celtic ended the game with almost 80% possession and despite several clear-cut opportunities in the first 45 minutes, County made it to the break just a goal down thanks to a few cracking saves from Amisa. French tennis star Gaël Monfils became the oldest ever player to claim the ATP Tour title single when he was won by the ASB Classic in Auckland on Saturday, surpassing the previous record set by Roger Federer in 2019. The 38-year-old won the ATP 250 tournament after defeating Belgium's Zizou Bergs into 6-3 and 6-4 in the finale to claim his 13th tour title. It means a lot to win. Age is just a number, said Monfils in his own court interview afterward. But we keep working. I keep believing that I can play high quality tennis and I have been showing it this week, so I am very happy. My first title was 20 years ago. I still have the passion to play tennis. I feel I am still striking the ball very well. Hopefully many more to come. A 38-year-old 4-month Monfils is 2 months older than Federer, who won the Basel 6 years ago. The world number 52 has been on a mainstay on the ATP Tour more than 2 decades, winning his first title in 2005 and reaching a career high ranking of world number 6. In 2016, he broke Bergs at the first attempt on Saturday when the Belgian caught the net tape with a way forward forehand and they raced into a 3-0 lead in the first set. Berg never really troubled that advantage, his second serve proving so unreliable that he only won 33% of those points. The Monfils wrapped up the set after 48 minutes of play. Monfils once again broke Bergs early in the second set and clung on to his lead to secure the win. Both players will now turn their attention to the Australian Open. Monfils will face his 21-year-old compatriot Giovanni Mapesci Pelicard and his first round, while Bergs will play Argentina's Facundo Diaz Acosta. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices, as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA for Android, and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News Channel 24.